Beautiful. Lovely. Thank you, Alan.
Right, I'd like to pray silence for George Patch, who is going to give us a speech. Thank you very much.
We can't hear you. You will in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and relations, the near family and all gathered around, I would like first of all to thank everyone that has travelled here today to help celebrate our diamond wedding. Some have come from the other side of the world. Others have gone to great lengths to get here. We are both delighted for your company. In a toast to 60 years of remarkable and happy years married to Edith, I would like to reflect back 63 years to an evening in a West Country town at a young conservative dance. I had decided to give the young farmers dance a miss that particular night, happening on the same night, and have a look at a different set of talent. As the revelry of that evening wore on, I noticed one particular girl. What's all this giggling? That seemed to be creating quite a stir among quite a few other males that were almost fighting to get a dance with her. Other than some exciting eye contact, this went on to the last dance, when I did manage to beat the rest of her suitors and ask her for the pleasure. To the tune of Who's Taking You Home Tonight, a love song of the time, the 63-year journey began. From that evening, I had no idea of where she lived or who her parents might be, other than a snippet of conversation whilst driving her to her home. We were discussing the lovely dry spell and sunny days we were having. But apparently Daddy's mangoes would not germinate. I calculated she must have some sort of farming connection.
Very astute.
Arriving at her home village and the entrance of the drive to her home, this vibrant young lady requested that we part company there, as she might get a roasting from her father for getting in late. It was only about 1 o'clock or so, but you've got to remember that that time the Church of England never let any dances happen on a Sunday. You had to go to church. So that was the situation. We arranged a date for the next day, which I can still remember every detail of. In the following 3 weeks there were other dates, until a phone call from Edith's father informed me that he was aware of his daughter had arranged to meet up that evening, but was sorry to have to inform me that that would not be possible, as she had been thrown off one of his racehorses, fractured her skull on a gate post, ended up in a river, and was now unconscious in the local hospital. He was sure Edith would be all right in time and would keep me informed. Our courtship continued from that hospital bed, when I was eventually, after a long time, allowed to visit her. And here, 63.5 years later, we are still together. Wow. That brings me to an encounter with the local parson. It's coming up, Arnold. On the eve of our wedding day. We thought it was for making the final arrangements, but it turned out that he had decided to also give us a pep talk on what to expect from married life. Marriage, she said, could be likened to a loaf of bread. Fine on the first day. Day after, still all right with a bit of butter. The day after that, you had to toast it and lubricate it with a spot of jam there. He left it to our imagination on how or what might happen to the future. I shall never understand the fellow's motives, but can assure you all that Edith and I have proved him wrong. Our loaf is still remarkably fresh. 60 years on. We appreciate that our 60 years together has been enriched with love, joy and adventure by our family and friends, and I thank you all. We do have another celebration here today. Our daughter Michelle and Alan celebrate their 29th wedding anniversary today. So today it gives me great pleasure to propose a toast to them. At least they are nearly halfway. I invite you to raise your glasses to 60 glorious years for Edith and me, and almost halfway from Michelle and Alan. God bless you all.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Michelle and Alan.
There's a glass.
Cheers, Bruce.
Speech.
It's a marvellous stretch, 60 years. Well, perhaps that's the wrong word. That sounds as if it's a custodial sentence, and I don't think it is. No, it's a wonderful, wonderful, long period. It's all started. I better introduce myself. I'm the best man on George's wedding. I'm also his younger brother, which some of you might not know. He's done a lot better than me, because he's a lot better on his feet than I am, although he's 4 years older. It all began on St. Valentine's Day, 1953. It's a different world than it is today. Rationing was still in force. 4 ounces of meat a week is all you could get. And I remember it was great difficulty that they got enough fruit, dried fruit, together to make a wedding cake. It was also the year of the coronation. Later that year, I feel sometimes they must be tracking the Queen. And trying to outdo her in making records, because it's certainly a very long time. They have also the same interest in the Queen, as the Queen, in their love of horses and horse racing. They were both raised on Mendip, and they moved to Hampshire 57 years ago. 55 years of that has been spent in White House Farm. That is a very great achievement. During that time, they've made a huge number of friends in Hampshire, and friends and family, and it is a wonderful way that they've integrated into this society. One thing that George still retains from Somerset is his voice. You can still hear that his roots are in the limestone hills of Mendip. They have both encountered life-threatening medical conditions in their life in Hampshire. Edith more recently perhaps, but they've both come through with an amazing certainty that they were going to survive. I can demonstrate this with Edith. We went to visit her when she was in Brompton Hospital, and she was in a very poor condition. She had a tracheotomy, could barely speak, and it seemed that she wanted to ask me something. So the nurse fetched a piece of paper and a pencil, and she wrote a little note. And when I just wondered what on earth this might be. And when I received it, the question was, who won the Scottish Grand National? It just showed that even in her condition, she was still thinking of the racing world and what was going on. And I think that showed this determination to get through and survive. And that is what she did. But I want to also mention, when she got home, the way that George looked after her.
Yeah.
He brought her slowly back to health and strength. My culinary ambitions are absolutely nil, which I'm sure Pam will agree with. But what he did for Edith during that period was truly heroic. You can see now how marvelously they're both still surviving, going forward with hope and expectation. Hope and expectation are a marvelous combination. And I would like to quote from my favorite poet, Emily Dickinson, when she said, "Hope is a thing with feathers that perches on the soul. It sings a tune without the words, but it never stops at all." And I think that's so true of the way that they have come through their adversities and looking forward now to many more years of hope and expectation. And I hope some more winners to go with it. So will you all raise your glasses to their future, going forward with looking for anything that interests them into great deal more hope and expectation. To George and Edith,
George and Edith.
Thank you.
the future.
Thank you.